The biggest international news coming in right now. Hamas's chief Yahya Sinwar has been eliminated. Israel has confirmed, and the IDF has made the confirmation that in an operation of which visuals are on your screen, moments before the killing of the Hamas chief. On camera, looks like a GoPro image attached to possibly as a body cam footage attached to one of the soldiers. Is that injured Yahya Sinwar moments before the killing. We'll try and get more details on that, but clearly visuals of someone sitting in the debris. And this was, remember, a full-on operation in Gaza. Joining me now, our managing editor Gaurav Sawant, who has been reporting, remember, from Israel consistently. Also joining me this morning is Rohit Sharma, our colleague from Washington, D.C. Gaurav, first to you. Remember, he was the man that Israel had been after. And what a precise operation this had been to confirm the location, to go after him. Tell us about what are you picking up about the operation details?
So Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has confirmed Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of the October 7th, the worst terror attack in Israel's history since its inception, has finally been killed. This was a very precise operation that was mounted in the Rafah area of Gaza. Now, Israeli Defense Forces, they had both their drones, their fighter jets, and their ground operatives, including their armored columns in and around Rafah. Initially, the information was that three men were seen moving rather suspiciously as the IDF, challenged them. Two of them ran in one direction, the third in the other, while one section of the Israeli Special Forces chased two down. The third section had its drone cameras that chased the third man, and they fired a tank shell in that direction where that man was heading. He apparently climbed onto the second floor of an abandoned building, was inside that second floor. Drone cameras were sent in. There's some, shells were lobbed inside that room. And when special forces finally went in, you see that final act of defiance of Yahya Sinwar. According to what officials in Israel say, he hurled a stick at the drone. His right arm apparently was shattered. Yahya Sinwar was covered from head to toe. He covered his face and his eyes. So the Israeli Defense Forces, after a sniper fired a headshot and apparently a knee shot to completely neutralize him and ensure that he's dead, they first carried out a dental examination, a facial examination, and ultimately a DNA test was conducted. Do remember, for 23 years, he was in an Israeli prison. So they had all records. And only after the DNA match confirmed it is Yahya Sinwar that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and their Defense Minister Yoav Gallant confirmed that the mastermind of the October 7th terror attack had been neutralized.
And he was also called as the butcher of Khan Yunis. Remember, even a lot of hostages are currently believed to have been kept in Khan Yunis area, residential area where the Hamas quarters also were. Gaurav, please stay on with me. Rohit Sharma also joins us. Rohit, the visuals on our screen, this is of course a big international issue. USA had been supporting Israel, even though had been also stating that there has to be humanitarian aid that had to be sent out. What are you picking up about? Has there a statement come in from USA yet?
Yes, actually, as a matter of fact, Pooja, President Biden released a two-page statement. He's congratulated the Israelis, and he initially went on to say that the U.S. has provided Israel with the intelligence. Although, the U.S. also, on the record, the Pentagon came out and said that they did not help, in killing. In particular, in this instance, they did not, but they have been providing intelligence to the Israelis. And now President Joe Biden, he is in Berlin today. He probably will talk about Russia and Ukraine and all that. But after he landed, he sort of made a point where when media asked him, he said he just congratulated the Israelis. On the other hand, there are talks about how, U.S. sees this as a moment to reach the so eluded ceasefire. I think, that has been on the mind of the Biden administration. In fact, Vice President Kamala Harris also, in her remarks, said that it's time to go and approach that ceasefire. Matthew Miller, who's the State Department spokesperson, he's pretty much said the same thing. He in fact said that over the past few weeks, there were no negotiations because of Sinwar. Now that he is dead, maybe it is an opportunity for sides to come back to the table and probably get to a ceasefire. So I think America has applauded that this has happened, but they also see an opportunity where they think that they can finally push both the sides to get to a ceasefire.
Rohit, stay on with me. Let's take a look at this visual. Remember what went viral and was confirmed then by Israel, and Gaurav, I'll bring you in here, was the image of, and I must say, quite a gory, graphic image that had come in, of a man who had been killed by the Israel precise strike and operation, eventually confirmed that it was Yahya Sinwar. Now, just the moments before that, the man you see in the background sitting, and we've circled it for you, appears to be Yahya Sinwar, who was not only the mastermind of October 7th, in many ways had headed the group and resorted to violence. So he was of that faction that was supportive of those violent means. Now, this is that visual. And we can see how he has a stick, what appears to be in his hand, which he throws towards either a drone, and you can see how precise the operation is. That's a drone that's coming in. So I correct myself, not a body cam footage. That's a drone precise strike. He notices it. He can see it. He then either throws a stick toward that drone, and by then the operation has happened. Gaurav, also to the viewer watching, this is the man who was part of the group that resorted to violence, extreme violent means, and he believed in that compared to, let's say, Ismail Hania, who was neutralized in July.
Well, Yahya Sinwar had spent 20 years plus in an Israeli prison. He learned the Hebrew language. He learned the ways of life of Israel. While in prison, he read up on Shin Bet. He read up on Mossad. He read up on Israel's intelligence agencies and their counter-terror operations. And all of this he read up so that he could counter it the moment he gets out of jail. And after 20 years, he was let out of jail in a prisoner swap. And the moment he came out, right from his initial days, he was one of those who was displaced from what later became Ashkelon when Israel was established in 1948. And he was one of those younger people displaced. The founder of Hamas took him in an internal security unit. So he was a fighter of the Hamas right from day one of the inception of the terrorist organization. He was the one who, along with Mohammed Daif, masterminded the October 7 attack and guided that attack. He was the one, the most powerful man in Hamas, because even, when you talk of Ismail Haniyeh, who was ultimately killed on the 31st of October in Tehran, Ismail Haniyeh, when he negotiated any kind of a settlement with either the Mossad or through interlocutors in Qatar or in Egypt, he always sent the word back to Yahya Sinwar, who was either in and around Khan Yunis area or in Rafah. And only when he responded were negotiations carried out. So that showed his power throughout in Hamas as an organization and as an entity. So you're absolutely right. He was heading the military wing. Then after Ismail Haniyeh was killed, he was heading Hamas. But then his days were numbered because Israeli Defense Forces, and I have interacted very extensively with the IDF, both after 7th of October last year and this year, even when their operation started against Hezbollah, they followed a very precise policy this time, that they would identify every leader and eliminate the leader of these terrorist organizations. So, for example, Hassan Nasrallah was neutralized, Fuad Shukr was neutralized, Akil was neutralized, Sururi was neutralized. You kill the head and the rest of the body will disintegrate. Even if new leadership comes up, kill the next rung of leadership. That is exactly what Israel is now saying, that their war in Gaza is not over. Their war continues unless, of course, one, Hamas lays down its arms, and two, repatriates the 101 hostages in their custody. They intend to do neither, is what the grapevine has it, because Hamas has constantly fought. They'll appoint a new leader, they'll continue their fight, and Israel's operations will continue unless some countries can negotiate a settlement.